Hey, welcome to BCB Live. Glad to have you here as we celebrate Drive Safe Dave. 127 days of driving safe. You know what? We are now crossing over that 11 million mark of driving safe. It's what you're doing every day out there. And again, we want to make sure, above all, that you're focusing on protecting life. Yes, that load's got to make a delivery, right? Yes, you got to get home. Yes, you need miles. But you know what? We've got to do our part to protect life first and foremost all the time. Drive Safe Dave, a little moose cross action going on.
Hey, you know what? You got to be careful of all animals out there. We celebrated the duck earlier this week. Today we're going to celebrate the moose. This one will do a little bit more damage to the truck than the duck will do, but I'll tell you what, you got to take care of those moose out there when you're walking around.
You know, I've heard stories about the moose, right? The truck drivers will tell you, man, when you wake up and you see them, it's no joke. You know, it's a big difference between that little duck that you were referring to yesterday and the big old moose. Drive Safe Dave. We know many years of you driving over the road. How many moose have you seen out there?
I'll tell you what, in all honesty, there was one time I was sitting there working my logbook on the side of the road, and I look up and I look over, and he's staring right in the window, and right there, right by the window, just looking at me and not caring, doesn't care what's going on. I was at just pulled over at a rest area, and he just was staring at me, looking at me, watching me fill out my logbook. Scared me crap, because they're high. I mean, they look right into the truck.
Let me guess, they were pulling people up ahead, right? You're fixing your logbook, Drive Safe Dave. Listen, we don't encourage the cheating aspect of it.
No.
You know, maybe in the past that's who you were.
I wasn't fixing my logbook. I was updating my logbook as we're supposed to do in every change of duty status.
Hey, 70 ships again stuck out at the port of LA.
And it's still going. It's still growing. Last week we were at 61. This week we're at 70, and they continue to stack up and back up and create that bottleneck going on out there.
So the bottleneck's real, and not to mention now we're at a little over 20 ships floating out there at the ocean, still waiting for it to get anchored in which Drive Safe before COVID, there were 1, 2, maybe 3 ships at a time out there. This is out of control as we see record volumes hitting. We talked last week and the week before about some of the projections from Maersk, the freighter, the boat, the ship, right?
Ship line.
The 20-foot equivalents taking these ships. Here it is. Listen to this. You ready?
Come on.
Here they go. They've updated it. They are now expecting to make, and we keep sending these updates because it's pretty intriguing, they're now expecting to make more this year than they have in the last 9 years combined.
Oh, wow.
To become Denmark's largest revenue ever. $24 billion of EBITDA, $16 billion of net margin is now their new projection, up from the net margin of $3 billion in January.
Yeah, and you're talking about a huge increase, and we're not talking about a little bit of money. We're not talking about millions. We're talking about thousands of millions. I mean, we're talking about a lot of money, and they just keep piling it on, and it's just, I don't know if it's going to slow down through the year. I mean, it's just, with all those ships out there and them needing more ships and more freight moved, I just don't see it slowing down.
Yeah, we've seen a 40% increase in the Port of Houston as well.
Wow.
And we think about all this, right? All of these ships that are out there holding all of these containers, many of them holding 25,000 20-foot equivalents down there. 25,000 containers. We have a chassis shortage.
We do.
Right? We have a truck shortage.
We have a driver shortage.
We have a driver shortage.
Yep.
And you put all of that together, and not to mention that, you have a rail shortage.
Yeah,
I mean, we can't put them on the rail.
The only shortage we don't have, Sir Rick, is demand. We don't have a demand shortage. It's higher than ever before, and it continues to pile on and continues to make it more difficult every single day.
Yeah, everything we see speaks to what we believe will be a greater 22 on the transportation side than it was in 2021. You know, from the ship lines to the truck lines to the rail lines, we expect to see some crazy things continue to happen. We talked yesterday, FedEx going into their largest rate increase in the last 9 years in the month of January. January 3rd, they take their largest rate increase out to the ground folks, right? And then the express guys, the pallet business, going up nearly 8%.
That's unbelievable. They're adding more and more rate, and I just think they're going to be, once again, that's one of the first steps in the industry. I foresee that to go across the board and many, many other companies that do basically the same thing. They're going to continue to increase those. They have to keep up. Yep, they have to.
And we got to figure out the throughput, right? I mean, we have the theory of constraints. I love the theory of constraints because it focuses on bottlenecks. And so here we have the Port of LA, and we're going to talk about that LA Long Beach. They're working on their first bottleneck, and that is, how do we get these trucks into the place? How do we pick up all night? And so what they're doing, encouraging late night pickup, early morning pickup.
Overtime.
Right?
They're going to encourage overtime, late night drops, early pickups. And what it's going to do is they're talking about it because not only when the truck leaves the port, they enter into that LA system, which is a nightmare during high traffic times. And what they're doing is they're talking about moving these trucks into a late night runs so they can move through the city quicker. And they want their distributors and their warehousing to be open late night as well. So they're wanting a partnership to make sure that can be done in the daytime and at nighttime.
Yeah, all of this is real. And I do want you to look at this. We're going to move from LA. Now we're coming over here to the Houston market. And here's what we've seen over the last year. This green represents the mid freight, say 300 miles or more than that. The orange right here, that's the long haul freight out of Houston. Okay, that's the 500 and greater mile freight that moves out. The significance of what we're seeing is that freight remains very high rejected at 18% rejected rate. People aren't real curious, they don't want to go a long ways out of Houston. How do we know that? Because only 7.5% of that container business, right? That short haul business is being rejected. The folks in Houston, they're going into Houston. If you're from Houston, you're staying in Houston because the Port of Houston has just recorded their largest increase in volume, inbound and outbound. Drive safe, Dave.
Yeah,
you can stay busy.
Yeah, it makes sense that you can go and do a whole bunch more runs, boom, right in there in town and get it knocked out and run in and out. You know, those draymen are really killing it right now down in Houston and doing a good job.
Yeah, they're going to stay busy. You know, we look at this right here, the outbound tender freight, and I just think it's important to see, again, it's so critical that we focus on what's happening right now. Here we are right now at 15,846 shipments a day shipping out.
Wow.
Compared to last year, or 2018, 2019, at 10,500 shipments. If we look forward, right, let's just see what's going on all the way ahead. Back in COVID, which we believe is the new norm, look at how the freight just kind of steadied up. It peaked up when it needed to peak up, but it has always remained steady since last year around August. Every other year, freight was always at the 10,000 mark. We have changed our habits as consumers. We have changed it, and we've ordered product, and now, Drive Safe Dave, there are shortages in everything we see. From truck parts, right? To the chip. Oh my gosh, we talk about chips all the time, and we're not talking Lay's.
No, we're not talking Lay's, but you know, that whole shortage extends over many, many products. I mean, let's be honest, I couldn't even get tonic water the other day. I was looking for tonic water, and I went to 3 different stores to buy tonic water, and the guy at the grocery, I said, "Where's the tonic?" He goes, "We got a shortage, we can't get any."
No,
we can't get tonic water?
Quick Trip.
Quick Trip.
Who has gone to a Quick Trip and their shelves are empty from Gatorade?
Yeah.
Where's my Gatorade at? You know what? It is absolutely, I'm telling you, we have never seen, and that's one question we ask all the time. We've never seen a market like this. No. We've never seen a market in such disarray. But here's what we do know. We have changed our pattern. We've changed our habits. We are ordering more product today, more truckloads today than we ever have by a long stretch, Drive Safe Dave. And again, when we go back and we say, well, what does all of that mean? Well, here we go. 21, almost 22% of record freight is being rejected. If you go back to 2018, 2019, 5% of 10,000 loads were being rejected, right?
Correct.
That created that spot market freight. Today, 21, almost 22% of record volume being rejected,
yep.
And we can't even take freight off the ships.
Yeah.
It's a mad haul right now. You see it. Rejection rates into Los Angeles, rejection rates into California are at an all-time low. Why? Because you just got to get out to California. It's the new gold rush.
Right.
Because there's so much volume out of LA. you're going to make a lot of money coming in. That's what we're seeing. That's reality. Just phenomenal things going on in our industry right now.
And we have to react accordingly. I mean, we've got to go out and get it. We've got to. I mean, if they do solve some of the bottleneck problem at the port, that's going to create the next new bottleneck, and that's how to get the freight across the country.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to be. I mean, who are they going to get the trucks? Where are they going to? There's no room on the trains. I mean, where are they going to get the trucks?
No, the theory of constraint says when you fix one bottleneck, you will create another one and probably two more down the road. And that's what you really have to look at. Drive safe, Dave. It's about 7:10. We're going to go on a 45-minute break. We have with us maybe 45 seconds. Here we go.
Let's not go on a 45-minute break.
I'm ready to go get some breakfast, and I'll be right back. But, hey, we'll be back with Brian Bruckner, President CEO of Bruckner Trucking. Bruckner Trucking?
Yes.
No, they're not trucking.
No,
dealership.
Bruckner Trucks.
Trucks. Bruckner Trucks. We'll be seeing you in just a second. This is BCB Live, and we are the safest station in the nation.
Be right back.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Sir Rick, Drive Safe Dave, and we're lucky to have with us Brian Bruckner. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing great.
Well, you know what? We are lucky. I'm telling you, we're honored to have you here because we love having people that, and this isn't hard, that know more about, the industry than we do. We can make a lot of it up. Yeah. We're pretty good on the fly.
I'm very good at, rolling with it. I can roll with it, but it's always nice to have the expert, always nice to have the person that knows exactly what's going on.
And so, Brian, do me a favor. Tell our audience a little bit tell us who you are, right? Sure. Tell us, just start there, who you are and a little bit of your history of Bruckner Truck.
Well, my name is Brian Bruckner. I'm president of Bruckner Trucks and Equipment. We're a Volvo truck dealer, Mack truck dealer, actually based in Amarillo, Texas. We have locations here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, one in Fort Worth and two in Dallas. My grandfather started in business, Rick. He started in Amarillo. He was Bruckner's garage. He worked on tractors and he worked on pickups and whatever he could drag in there and work on. I mean, he worked on washing machines sometimes. If he could get a washing machine in there, he was going to work on a washing machine.
That'll work.
So, it was 1932, so you had to do what it took to get it done. And from there we first became a Mack truck dealer in 1948. So we're the oldest Mack dealer west of the Mississippi.
Okay.
And that's kind of a cool claim.
That's cool.
We're the oldest Mack dealer west of the Mississippi,
and best.
And best, absolute best. Yeah, number one. And we became a Volvo dealer in the year 2001. So we've been a Volvo dealer for about 20 years now, a little over 20 years, and that was a huge move for us. That opened up a big market for us to be able to work with guys like you and your company and learn more about the over-the-road business. That was a little foreign to us as a Mack dealer. We didn't.
Yeah, right.
We like dump trucks and trash trucks and.
What do you mean over-the-road?
Water trucks, and work trucks, off-the-road trucks, not really on-the-road trucks, but off-road trucks.
And then we started working with the over-the-road guys more, and that blew our minds. I mean, I'm telling you,
we're a different group of people.
We thought we knew about trucking until we got going with you guys, and it was like, wow.
Because we all think we know a little bit about trucking, right? We all think we're the best. We're the only ways to do it like this. So you started in Amarillo with the one dealership. Today, how many are you up to?
We have 24 dealerships
Woo!
in 7 states. So
Awesome.
we've grown a little bit since then, and we have 38 rooftops around the country.
That is
So,
cool, man. I love to hear those stories of the entrepreneurship, right? Taking that business. And so here you are today, 28. And I want to talk a little bit about the market. We talked about, some of the shipping things, all of the freight that's just crazy. And if you're out there right now, if you're watching this show and you're looking for a truck, hey, talk to us about that inventory across this country right now with trucks.
Yeah, this has got to be the craziest market I've ever seen in my career. You think back to March, April timeframe of last year, and tons of uncertainty on the marketplace, and the truck sales they went off a cliff. I mean, it just went straight to the bottom. And but it was you talk about a V-shaped recovery. That was the V-shaped recovery. I mean, it hit bottom, and then all of a sudden we're headed back up, and suppliers didn't plan for that adequately. I don't think the manufacturers understood or planned for that well. None of us. I remember at that point we were trying to push out inventory. We were like, man, we got too many trucks. We got to get rid of these trucks. And then once it headed back up, when we look at the whole industry, you can see where the industry has just been trying to get back ahead of that demand. And it's like you were talking earlier with freight and all the freight that's sitting off the port in Long Beach. It's like you can't get back ahead of it.
Yeah.
It's out there so far that everybody's trying to get back ahead of that market.
Yeah, and I don't know how we get ahead of that market. I mean, let's face it, you talk about what happened, and we saw the same thing in the freight industry. Freight went down, the rates went down, everything was going down, and none of us really knew, and I guess we all could have made a lot of money if we could kind of see in the future, right? It was a pandemic. I mean, we had never gone through that pandemic. I know. First time ever we gone through something like that, and I can remember, I mean, you think about it, and again, one big problem we have in the industries regarding the trucks are the chip shortages, right? But we quit ordering the cars, right? We put them on order because nobody's going to buy a car. Nobody's going to buy a truck. Why order chips? And here we go. All of a sudden, for whatever reason, we can go different ways with this. All of a sudden, people start having more money they've ever had before and not even have to go to work for it. And they start spending money. Start spending money. But
and I think they've gotten used to spending it, too. Not only did they have it, but they found new ways to spend it and new ways to go out there and spend the money that they have.
Yeah, and we're in a situation now where lead times continue to get further and further out. We work and plan, of course, work with you, Rick, and try to plan those orders to make sure we've got adequate equipment coming in. But you look at our lot, you go see our lot, and there's not a lot of inventory parked there, and guys come in, they're looking for trucks, and we're scrambling trying to find them something. And
showing them pages?
Yeah,
we got pictures. A picture. We got pictures. Here's a catalog. You can flip through that. We'll get you one order.
Yeah.
Can't really drive one today, but you know what? We can flip through.
So we're selling out trucks, basically a year from now. So right now we're talking to people about trucks that we're going to have for them in a year.
So parts in general, outside of the chips, are we seeing a shortage of that as well?
Sure. Yeah, and it's spotty. I mean, there's some things that we have plenty of. I looked at our inventory this morning. We had $32 million worth of parts inventory. So we got lots of parts inventory. But
you're like, sell it.
Yeah.
Sell it.
It's a gold mine. It's a gold mine.
Yeah. But there's those things that, are demand. Depth sensors, depth level sensors. I mean, those things, our guys are on the phone every day. Everybody they know, they're calling, trying to find those depth level sensors. And so there's those kind of, you're talking about your tonic water. I mean, it's those shortages that we run into, and we're seats.
Wow. You got to sit down.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to sit down.
Key,
That's
right?
pretty important. It's hard to stand and drive.
Yeah. You got to go. Maybe you have to pull that pillow off when you get up in the morning and strap that to your seat and sit on it. But seats are a struggle today, and so we hit those shortages and we start scrambling, trying to find those parts to fulfill take care of people, make sure they can keep running their truck.
And a lot of these parts too that I don't think a lot of people recognize or realize is that a lot of these parts do come from China, and a lot of these parts understand that many companies now are having to pay a huge surcharge just to get it on the ship. Right? A $15,000 surcharge happens all the time, especially in the automotive industry, only to sit out there at the ocean.
And I look at the seat deal, and I think about it a minute, and tell me if I'm wrong, but guys are wanting to put even older trucks back on the road, and
Absolutely.
one of the things that they go in and they go, you know what, everything here I can work with, but I need a new chair. You know, if I'm gonna put that truck back on the road, I'm actually gonna sit in something a little bit nicer. So I see that how that even you bring in older trucks, right? Even used truck sales is up, right? The whole market is just crazy.
Yeah, the demand for used trucks, similar to new trucks, is the highest we've ever seen. I mean, literally, we buy a truck today, we go clean it up, it sells tomorrow. It's that kind of turn in inventory.
So so let's just go this way. So if you're thinking about exiting and you're an independent contractor, you're an owner operator, and you're thinking about getting out of this business, it's time to retire. It's a great time to sell. If you're thinking about trading it in, you know what? You may have to think again, right? Because when are you going to get that truck? If one of our listeners said, you know what? I'm ready to make a trade and get a truck. How long is that wait time? Do we have a general idea?
We're right now they've actually closed the order board, and so they've gotten so many orders in, and it's not just Volvo. It's
everybody.
It's everybody, absolutely.
And so we have a supply of trucks coming in over the next year, and we plan for that. We've ordered stock and we've ordered trucks for customers, but it would be at least a year, maybe 14, 16 months to get a new truck.
That's unbelievable.
So I know it's always been hard, I think, in our industry, and probably the same with yours, to really get a good idea, a good feel about next year. But I think next year is already done. I just meaning that the freight's already been ordered, the products already been, trucks have already been ordered. So next year, I think we're gonna continue to see a lot of what we're seeing right now. What about 2023, or when does what from the truck side, right, from the dealership side, when do you see this breaking up at all? Is it just too far out there right now?
Yeah, and we try to forecast and understand where the market is headed, and I kept saying, well, 22 is going to be better. It's going to get better in 22. It's got to get better in 22.
Because 21 wasn't right. Yeah. Got it.
And so 21 was. It was tough, and 22's got to get better, and I suspect as we get into third and fourth quarter of 22 that we'll start to see the market stabilize and begin to solidify a little bit, and 2023 should be a more normal year. I think
you're calling it here first.
You heard it here
first. Right here first. Is that
2023 is going to be a more normal year?
But I think we all kind of feel that 2023 is going to be the year that things start to normalize. Whatever again that means.
We got to figure it out, right? We have to.
Well, here's one thing we do know is that in what we do here in America, we figure things out. We will figure out these bottlenecks. We'll make adjustments on it. Some things that that we can't expedite. I'll tell you this. Some people will say, "Well, now it's just throw the autonomous vehicle out." It's not ready. It's not ready there. There's a lot of technology still, a lot of updates that have to happen. Laws that have to get passed. A lot of things like that have to happen. We're not ready for that side yet, but we will figure things out. And we know that we do. Whether it's figuring out how to use the trucks a little bit different. How to get more utilization out of a truck, utilization out of a shop, utilization of how to get these trucks in and out. I mean, let's face it, drive safe, Dave, and Brian, is that it's key right now when we get a truck in the shop, anybody gets a truck in the shop, well, we got to get it out. We just, that's and when you're short on parts, right? When there's not a lot you can do about it. So there's some frustration levels from the truck side, right? Because this is the chance that trucking companies can go out there and make that money right now.
Absolutely. And it's not just a small amount of trucks. It's every truck is on the road. And when every truck is on the road, the shops are full because they all break down. I'm going to break it to everybody out there that every truck breaks down in some way, shape, form, or fashion. They break down. And
even Volvos,
even
once in a while.
Not now, even Volvos, but they all break down, and they all need to be fixed.
Yeah.
And that's probably, and the shops are just packed. And then, and if the road's packed with trucks, the shops are also packed.
So we've seen, I want to ask one question before we close this out, but we have all seen driver shortage. We've seen shortages everywhere, restaurants, right? McDonald's, fast food. It doesn't matter. You can't hire enough people. They're not out there to work. Are you seeing shortages even in the, say, the shop area? Are you seeing any kind of shortages on that? Do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
More than normal?
You know, I like driver shortage. We've had technician shortage for a long time. I think we haven't had enough as our technicians have gotten older and retired.
That's interesting.
We haven't replaced technicians at the rate that we need to as an industry. But we do have technician shortage.
You know, that's interesting. You know, because you always just think about the truck shortage, right? Well, we haven't done a good job of making our industry, you know, right to encourage people to come in. We haven't done our due diligence, and we're kind of seeing a truck shortage right now, or driver shortage right now, try to say. But I would say on the driver shortage, it's our fault. Why don't they want to come in here? Because of us. Why? Because we want to take 4 hours to get them unloaded. Who wants to work for free? You know why? That's on us. And so I get, you know, I love hearing the stories, you know, that you bring. I love hearing the struggles in our industry, and you know, the technician. That's part of our industry, because without them, we're really screwed, right?
They're going to be in the shop not 2 days, but in the shop for a week.
Hey, Brian, do me a favor. We had Brian and I had a great opportunity to go golf at one of your events that had to do with some charity on that. Tell me something, you know, what makes Bruckner's that special, that special dealership, the dealership of choice, you know, in your eyes? You know, I've seen it. I'll just tell you from a customer, you know, it's top-notch folks from top down. Love the culture that you have in your company right there. But from your eyes, what makes Bruckner that dealer of choice?
You know, Rick, we work really hard to partner with our customers and find solutions to difficult problems. I mean, trucking, you know, we've got a lot of difficult problems to take care of, and as an organization, we see that as our mission, our goal to take care of those difficult problems, and not to walk away from them, but face them head on and make sure that we're working through to take care of those customers, make sure that we're a great partner. We want our customers to be successful. We want to see trucking companies like BCB. We want more trucking companies like BCB that are, you know, they're growing their business and building a culture, building a company, and that's where we see great success. I tell you, I learned this from my dad and my granddad. I'm not that smart a guy, but we, you know, for us, our people are our greatest asset. And so I know a lot of people talk about that, and that's, you know, kind of a buzzword for a lot of businesses. But, you know, we know and understand that if we don't have a lot of great people working hard every day, that we can't take care of you. We can't take care of your business. We've got to make sure that our people are up and ready to go every day to take care of you.
That's awesome, man. So here we go now. So oftentimes we may sign out, but producer, here we go, Brian. We have a couple questions coming in, so get ready. Hey, if it's an uncomfortable, we'll go to a break.
You'll let me bail out?
Who we got, Dylan?
Yeah. So we have Miriam Hedgeman. What do you got for us today, Miriam?
Good morning, Miriam.
All right, well, we also had William Stevens. I saw that you had your hand up. I think you might have lost your mic there, William. If you wanted to try and hop back on, we can get you on and get that question asked for you.
All right, don't forget you can also type a question out if you need it. And if we get Miriam real quick, we'll get it. If not, then, Brian, you may just got a break in here. It was interesting because I know that sounded like a company driver and an independent contractor. So those were two different kind of questions
two different
you were
aspects.
getting ready to get. So I was actually looking forward to that. Hey, Brian, I want to thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for coming on and educating our folks, our listeners on what it is. All right, almost.
Hey, Miriam, what do you got for us? See, you made yourself green there. What do you got for us?
How about you, Miriam?
All right.
Well, sounds like a strike three. He's out.
So, well, in the meantime, Brian Winsauer was wondering, how important are the new safety technologies to new truck purchasers?
You know, we see that as critical, and I think with Volvo, one of the core values of Volvo is safety. You know,
For sure.
That's how they built their business. I mean, Volvo invented seatbelts. I mean, that's part of their culture and their identity, and you know, more and more even on stock trucks. You know, you think a stock truck, a lot of times you didn't necessarily order a lot of safety equipment, but you know, these days we order the Bendix Wingman system on most every truck that we deliver. We do a lot of lane departure systems. As you see more and more automation coming into trucks, I think that is going to have a huge effect on safety. That Volvo truck is the safest truck on the road, and we, and it doesn't just stay that way. I mean, you've got to continually work on new technologies. I was with the president of Volvo earlier this week, and we were talking about that and how, that's a continual path. You don't just say, okay, this is a safe truck, we're going to stop there. I mean, you've got to continually be pushing those technologies and working on new technologies. I know, the new steering systems that are coming out now, and we're starting to really get those introduced into the marketplace in a good way. Dynamic steering.
And dynamic steering, yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Is a great safety technology, and so we continue to push those hard to get them into the marketplace, to get people comfortable with them, help them understand what that safety means to them, what that means to their company. I mean, you guys realize how I'm telling you to drive safe. I mean, the
don't forget about me. Listen, I've gone 6 laps around the track, and I can tell you that dynamic steering comes into play. 6 laps under my belt, it was a lifesaver, and boy, I felt better. Everything about it.
You felt comforted,
yes.
Right? It was like a seatbelt wrapped around you, right?
Producer, we got one more.
Yeah, Curtis Benedict, what do you got for us
Morning,
today,
Curtis.
sir?
What's going on, Curtis?
Hey, good morning, guys. Just a real quick question. Do you see Volvo following the other companies with the digital dashboards and getting away from the analog stuff?
Yeah, I'm not a great technical product guy. I'm going to admit that right now, that I don't know of all the new technology that's coming, but it's we see more and more digitalization of the dash and and all the equipment in the truck. That that whole backbone that everything runs on is digital, and so it only makes sense that as they move and develop, I think Volvo has invested more of their current research budget in safety technology and in engine, in the operation of those engines for the best fuel economy, and that's where they've had their greatest investments right now. I know as we get into the next generations of trucks that we will see more of that digital dash that you see in some of the other competitor trucks.
That's good stuff, and we love it. We love the safety functionalities of the Volvo. We love the Bruckner relationship and what you all stand for inside the industry and even outside when you're doing your charity events and everything. Hey, Brian, thank you for being part of our show. You're part of now the safest station in the nation. I want to make sure you know that. How does it feel? Does it make you feel a little better?
I feel fantastic.
I like it. Hey, we'll see you in about 60 seconds. This is BCB Live, and we are the safest station in the nation.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to BCB Live. It is a little bit of time for that traffic information out there going on the roads. As we look at the Dallas and Fort Worth area, you see a little bit of congestion as it enters into both the downtown area of Dallas and Fort Worth. This North 35 is a nightmare doing traffic. As you come in, if you can, swing around the 114 and enter through either the 360 or the 820 bypass if you're headed south. If you're coming in from any other direction, follow that 635 instead of going into the downtown area. Not looking a little bit too good, but that 635 is backing up as well. As we go to the next one here in Kansas City, green, green, green on the boards. Run it like you see it. I don't see any slowdowns. It's the way to go here in Kansas City today. As we move to the next one, Chicago, don't go downtown. There's no easy way to get. But if you want to, swing around the 435 as you want to get into the 90 or the north or any way like that. But use the bypasses because as you're entering into Chicago, you're going to see the slowdowns as we go. And here as we look over here in Atlanta, that southern route around the 285 is the way to go. Whether you're going north, south, east, or west, you're going to have to figure out a way to get to there as you're going to move through. If you're going to the points just outside there, you're going to feel comfortable. Hey, look, if you're hitting the exit 12, air over there, headed over to the Petro, looks like it's open and ready to go. But other than that, I do see a little bit of problems going on in Atlanta, all around that northern area as they settle into the area. Where else we got here? Oh, Jersey. Remember, they are going to do the Wilmington problem, the Wilmington Bypass, as they do the construction. Make sure that you shoot around completely on the 295 and avoid Philly if you're going to be running the 95 up that eastern corridor. I'll tell you, you don't want to get in there right now as it is creating a big problem. But use the entire bypass if you need to, as you can move north and south fairly easily. What else have we got? Nashville. Nashville, for some reason, looks a little bit crazier than normal, especially out there on the 40. I would use the 440 to go around on the southern route of Nashville if you're moving east and west, and even if you're moving north and south. Make sure that you use that outside bypass. Don't enter into the downtown area as it looks to be a little bit chaotic on that 2440 area right now in that as we got going on. All right. As we move into weather, we have seen this high pressure system, this cold front move into from the north. We see as it moves in, it has pushed all this moisture east, and it's going to continue to push it east and push it out. As we look and as we move it forward, you'll see that moisture get pushed completely out of by Thursday and Friday. Look at this. It's all the way to the east on the eastern seashore. And here we go. We got clear skies running. And as this high pressure system moves in, very little going on as we head into the weekend. And that warm temperature is going to start coming back up as no clouds are in the area and no basic cover. So that's pretty much the traffic. The weather as you see it going around the country. But right now, if you're in this eastern area of the Mississippi, you will have rain showers and you will have stuff going on. Let's look at the wind and wind gust across the country. I don't think it's going to be too bad, but I will tell you this afternoon, you do have some right around the Great Lakes area. Be mindful if you're up in Detroit or you're out there anywhere along the northern Ohio Valley. Be mindful of what's going on out there. Slow down in the heavy winds. Make sure that you're safe. And make sure you keep mind. Other than that, most of our other running areas look pretty good, except the Carlisle area. It looks like it's just going to get a little bit windy out there, but not too bad. So just if it's very windy and if you're running empty, make sure you're paying attention to what's going on. That is your weather and traffic, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Drive safe, Dave. Great job on that weather. Great job on that traffic. You did say one thing that I'm trying to figure out what it was. I wrote it down. Now it's way over there. You said it's looking a little bit not too good, and it confused me. And I'm trying to think. So it got me. I was like, it's like me telling you, hey, you're looking a little bit not too good. I mean, what does that even mean? I mean, it's
not an ideal situation, sir. That's what that means. As we talk about it, it's not ideal. When it's not looking a little bit too good, it's not ideal.
And great conversation with Brian Bruckner. Just a phenomenal person, a phenomenal company. You know, that dealership, they do some great things. You know, I saw them donate $99,000. Let's just call it $100,000 to their children's. One of the things they do with the children's, it's like a school-ish or hospital. Just a phenomenal thing they continue to do out there. You know, getting involved in the community. Drive safe, Dave. It's important that we all participate in that. Yeah. We all do a little bit more. You know, when we talk about trucking, when we talk about our industry, you know, and I think Bruckner's a great example, and there's a lot of great examples out there. We have drivers that feed the homeless. We have to go out and continue to open up our wings a little, open up our arms, embrace, right, Drive Safe, embrace our ability or the desire to change our industry.
You know,
the perception of our industry.
Yeah, not only the perception of our industry, but physically change it. Not just the way it's looked at, but the way it is in reality. And I truly believe that the blessings that we bestow on other people, however we do it, will come back to us tenfold. And we have to continue to, and I believe that speaks to the quality of the individuals. And just like Bruckner and his organization, the quality of the individuals that they have there speak volumes to what's going on. When you talk about giving back to the community, and I think those people are paramount in that whole ideology as it moves forward in helping the community. Same way with the truck drivers out there. They're always the first to help out, always the first to step up, and always the first to make a difference in their community and in those that need help. I mean, it is unquestionably, to me, it is the human spirit.
Yes, sir.
And it is the human desire to help others. And I think that's going to be continuous as we go forward. And I do hope that whenever you can and whatever it is you do and however it is you do it, I do hope that you find a way to help others and be a blessing to somebody else in some small way. It can be small. It doesn't have to be big or huge, but you have that chance. And do, like you say, it makes us all a little bit, not only are we superheroes, but people actually see us walking around with capes.
Yeah, and you can do it, and you have that opportunity every day, right? When you're out there at the truck stop. We talk about it all the time when you have that ability to help somebody back up. And when you're helping them out, hey, don't back them into a pole or another vehicle, right? Another truck. You know, back them into that spot. You know, tell them, whoa, stop. Talk to them, communicate. When you're going inside the truck stop, when you're going inside the diner, you know what? Open the door for somebody. Buy a cup of coffee for somebody else. Tell them thank you. Yes, you can tell your peers thank you as well. Hey, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for wearing your mask. Hey, thank you for backing in the way you did. You know, so many things. We've got to take the time to recognize one another. When you are out there, and again, you're part of that BCB Live crew. That BCB Live crew, Drive Safe, says, you know what? We take it upon us to go out there and do more for this industry. As being part of the safest station in the nation, it requires action for you to actually get out and look, for you to actually help somebody else out. And I want to put that challenge to you, you know, because it can stretch outside of just the trucking industry. It can stretch out to what you're doing at home. Are you participating in, you know, with at a church function, in the neighborhood function? Are you picking up trash along the way? You know, are you bringing up the trash can for a neighbor? It's what we want to do to continue to really Drive Safe, Dave, change our industry, you know, from the inside out.
I look at that and I continue to talk about it, and we as a organization or as an industry, we go out there and I have never found it difficult to talk to another driver There are times when.
I say, Dave, you can talk to anybody. I've walked in your room and you can talk to yourself. You are blessed like that, my friend. Let me tell you something.
But you know what? It holds true to many other ways. I mean, you can actually spur a conversation out there on the road about safety. You can spur a conversation about how awesome things are going or what it is that they can do, or even introduce them to your vision of safety. And you know what? I'll tell you the best way, and I have found this is almost surefire way to always open up a genuine conversation with another truck driver, especially owner operator. Ask him about his truck. Ask a driver about his tractor, and I guarantee you're going to get a 5-minute dissertation. Whether good or bad, you're gonna get some kind of story. And I'll tell you what, it's fun, it's exciting, it's a great way to meet people and introduce yourself. And you know what? Introduce them to BCB Live, right? Introduce them not just for us, but for every reason whatsoever, is to keep the road safe and to make it better as we go.
Hey, we're going to take a 30-second break, and we'll welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We are joined today, Drive Safe Dave, with Brian Korb, former DPS. A little PI action going on now, which I'm a big fan of like that. You know what? I got some folks for you to follow. I got some PI action for you, Mr. Brian. Hey, Brian, how you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
One more time, Brian. I'll make sure I can hear you.
I'm good. How are you?
Oh,
Perfect,
what's going
man.
on, Brian?
Man, thank you very much. Brian, let me tell you, you missed our guy today. He's out today, but Bob Sobiak, our safety director, he's known as Buckle Up Bob, just so you know, on this show right here, when he does the weather and the traffic and safety. He came back from that safety conference from a couple weeks ago, and I thought he had a new crush on somebody.
Yeah,
I said,
a little bit
dude,
of
are you
man crush
cheating
going.
on your wife? Because you have a glow on you like none other. And he was like, oh, Rick, you got to hear this guy Brian talk. And so, Brian, we welcome you to the show. BCB Live is the safest station in the nation. And we're coming to folks like you, right, the experts about accident prevention. You know, tell us a little bit, you know, first of all, I guess, give us a little background of who you are.
Well, you know, like I said, my name is Brian Korb. I'm an accident reconstructionist investigator, DOT compliance. Been doing the accident reconstruction now since, and it's probably the early 90s when I was with the department, and just kind of worked my way after retirement into this deal. I enjoy, you know, bringing truck safety and accident prevention to the public.
It's important, you know, and Brian, you know, that job you have, it's nonstop, right? I mean, that's what we do here on the show every day, is talk about accident prevention. Let's just kind of just dive right into it. When you see that, I mean, what's the, you know, I'm a root cause kind of guy. What is the typical or the normal, the most common root cause from an accident you see involving the 18-wheelers?
Well, just people not paying attention. You know, a lot of folks think these 18-wheelers can maneuver on a dime, and they can't. A lot of them think that because these drivers sit up so much higher than in the normal four-wheel vehicle, that they can see a lot better, and they can't. See a lot of accidents where these passenger cars will, you know, pull out right in front of the truck and expect the truck to stop, or the truck is sitting at a red light and that four-wheeler cuts him off, thinking that he's going to be able to see that passenger car, and they just can't do it. It's, you know, there's we talk about the no zone around the sides of the trailer and the blind spots on the truck. Well, there's a big blind spot right in front of the truck. So when these four-wheelers move out in front of these trucks while they're stopped at the red light, they just can't see them.
No, it's a, you know, phenomenal point on that. And, you know, and I like where you're going with this too, because we speak about it here. You know, as well as the 18 wheels, right? The truck drivers, you know, our listening audience, boy, we have got to find ways to get the word out on truck safety to the four-wheelers, you know, to the kids driving for the very first time. You talk about blind spots. We hear it all the time, and some things that we address, you know, heck, with my immediate family, my daughter that just turned 16 is driving, is, you know, their thought process was they look sometimes for that big truck to pull out in front of. For some reason, they think since it's bigger, it can stop quicker, you know, out there on the highway. It says, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, they consider, and you know, and having driven for a long time, it seems to me as if four-wheelers look at 18-wheelers as just obstacles in the road that that are either going too slow or blocking their drive lane or getting in the way or whatever it is, or their opportunity to get into the flow of traffic. And I'm sure you see the same.
Yeah, exactly. And if you'll remember back in, was it probably the mid 80s, late 80s, when the big No Zone campaign came out, that was focused on bringing attention to the four-wheelers, if you will, the passenger cars that are driving up and around these trucks. Then we started getting into, you know, defensive driving and talking to the student drivers and really teaching them how to drive around trucks. Then we would take the campaign and we'd go actually into the trucking companies and talk to the drivers about what to watch out for. Because, you know, the thing about it is even in the regular driver's handbook, it tells you that every driver has to ensure that the other drivers around them are safe. So if we all work together and we know that these big trucks are out on the roads, because let's face it, that's who carries our goods. We can't survive without trucks. So we've got to learn to operate around them and operate safely.
Yeah, I agree 100%, and I think it's a team effort. I don't think it's just any one person. I don't think it's just the driver. I think it's everybody. Hey, we do a lot here. We focus on certain campaigns and certain ideologies, and one of the things that we've been focusing on lately is those first responders and those accident scenes and how to react accordingly. As being former an officer out there responding, what are your views of how dangerous it is out there in those accident scenes?
Well, we got people that, you know, are basically stopping to look to see what's going on. They're putting everybody in danger. But then on the flip side of it, when we have people that are passing by these scenes, or, you know, patrol cars got somebody stopped on the side of the road, they're not paying attention to the officer and or the occupants. So we've got to be more aware of our surroundings. And when we see the flashing lights, we don't have to look. Just keep on driving, and it's going to make the traffic flow a lot quicker. You're going to get to your destination a lot faster and a lot smoother. And you got to remember, we do have that campaign going on about moving over. So you are subject to being written citations if you don't move over and or slow down as you're passing these scenes. So let's all work together, and let's get to our destination safe. There's no reason to stop and look, or what we used to call back in the day rubbernecking.
Yeah, right. Agree 100%. We just had, you know, you talk about that. We just had an example of that in Fort Worth over the weekend, Sunday, where we had the westbound I-30 had an accident. Eastbound, the two patrol cars responded to it, got hit by another vehicle. Just happened, you know, on the opposite side, and these lights, and it's early morning too, and we spoke about that on the show on yesterday about the lights. You know, when you see those lights at night, early in the morning, you know, maybe you're fatigued or you're just not aware, you're not sure which side they are. You know, situational awareness is what we speak on here. Understand the situation, understand that there's lights up there, and if you're unsure, no matter what, slow down. And that's what we want to make sure that we continue to preach out there, is a situational awareness. Hey, Brian, we do have a couple callers on here with some questions for you. Hey, who do we got first, Dylan?
Yeah, we got Alan Arnold. What do you got for us today, sir?
Morning, Alan.
Hey,
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Just wondering, with all these new LED lights on the troopers' cars, makes it real bright to see them, but from a distance, you don't know which lane they're in. You know, when they have someone pulled over or an accident. How come we can't get like an arrow
on the police cars like they do on these road trucks when they're doing road construction, you know, telling you which lane to get into. I think that would be a safety issue that would help protect police officers, medical, and the other people they are attending to.
Sure, and that's a very good question. And some of the patrol cars do come equipped with what they call an aero board on just below the overheads, if you will, on top of the vehicle. You know, when you see these construction vehicles with the big aero boards, you got to remember those trucks are not constantly moving at fast speeds. Got to remember too that the officers have to be able to maneuver around their vehicle in emergency situations and or have their overhead seen. So having the big aero boards, if you will, is just not possible on the patrol car, but some of them do have the little arrow signs underneath the overheads. And quite honestly, that's going to be a administrator's choice as to whether they put those on there or not. But as you know, we previously spoke, the best thing to do is when you start seeing lights, and it doesn't necessarily have to be red and blue lights. It could just be flashing yellow lights, because we got to remember our tech stop folks. And as you pointed out, the construction people on the highway. We just need to slow down as we start getting close to where those lights are, and then you know, look far enough ahead to where we can maneuver to whatever lane they are not in. Good question.
Without a doubt. Thank you, Mr. Alan Arnold. Producer, we have another one?
Yeah, we got Curtis Benedict. What do you got for us, sir?
What's going on, Curtis?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Hey, I'm gonna go along with Alan Arnold here, and I've passed a few accidents, especially like at night with those LED lights. One of them I know was raining. Or so you get the LED lights and they hit that raindrops on your windshield, and it just lights up the windshield. But here's my thing is, you might have a police officer on one side, you might have an ambulance on another side, you know, and they're sort of weaving you through an accident zone. My thing is those lights are so bright, sir, that it's hard to see the personnel on the ground because they don't have the reflective stuff on like construction workers do. And trying to look through that and try to decipher who's out there is a challenge. And of course, you know, nobody wants to hit anybody else for any reason. Is there any way that emergency personnel, whether it be, well, I know that obviously the fire department have reflective, but I mean, ambulance, police officers, is there any way that we can get them to, you know, be a little bit more visible at night with reflective stuff so that, you know, they're easier to distinguish where they're at as you're coming up on a scene like that?
Sure, and there is a big push. A lot of departments now have a policy that states if a officer is going to be out, you know, on the highway, that they must put their reflective vest on. Most departments, and I'm speaking here in Texas, will issue out reflective vests for the officers. Now, you got to remember these reflective vests are just that. They're the vest. They're not the full body suit like what, you know, you see the construction workers wear. Obviously, the officers couldn't do that for safety reasons of responding to other calls. But yes, there is a push amongst departments to mandate, and some of them have actually already put that into place, that the officers do wear reflective vests and or a reflective jacket, of course, in the wintertime.
Hey, Brian, and as we talk about this, and I was just trying to, in listening to you, how more receptive over the last, let's say, 25 years have people been in the conversation about safety as more of a focal point than I would say 25 years ago, or even 20 or even 10 years ago in this industry that you see doing it every single day? How much more value are people placing in that ideology of safety first?
I'd say quite a bit. I think we've come a long way in over, like you said, the last 20, 25 years of not only protecting the motoring public, but as these callers have stated, the guys that are on the ground, that are out there in the roadway, whether it be first responders or construction workers. I think that the motoring public has looked a little closer at what is going on in their surroundings, and therefore the campaigns are starting to work.
What do you see as and my question is, what do you see in the near future that we need to do better at and be better at in order to make safety the number one thing for everybody on the road, not just for trucks, but for every single person?
I think slow down. We're a society that we want everything now. We want to hurry up and get there. We're always constantly watching the clock. Some people are better at leaving earlier than others. And unfortunately, that delayed time catches up with folks. So I think that if we as a society will slow down, plan ahead, and just be prepared for what may come as we're traveling down the roadway, I think we'll be a whole lot safer.
Yes, as the great Axl Rose said, we all need just a little patience. Yeah,
There you go.
Some more patience. Hey, producer, I know we got a question typed out there. Who do you got?
Sure. Brian Winsauer typed out, if a truck driver were to be involved in an accident, how would they be able to best protect themselves and also the company that they work for immediately following that accident?
Man, good question. That's pretty much what the topic of conversation was a couple of weeks ago at the Safety Council when I spoke. The best thing I can tell drivers to do is, one, take pictures. Take lots of pictures from all sides of the vehicle and from a distance. If you take your photographs up close, it's harder to tell what is going on and what the general surroundings are. So take them from all angles at a distance. The second thing that I really encourage drivers to do is, regardless of whether you're talking to law enforcement, maybe you've called 911, or you're talking to your dispatcher or your safety personnel via telephone, get back inside your truck, close the door, and stay away from folks. Because you got to remember, every time that you speak, somebody listens, you could have a problem depending on how you talk about how the incident or the accident occurred. So don't say anything. You check on the other folks, make sure they're good, make sure the scene is secure, start documenting everything, get back up in your truck, and then carry on your conversation with your dispatcher or safety personnel from there. And then just wait for law enforcement to arrive. And then just be careful what you say and stay off of social media. Social media is, while it's great, but it can also hurt you too.
For sure. Hey, Brian, when it comes to the forward-facing camera, the outward-facing camera, boy, that comes into play from our side all the time. It's nice to have that. Do you agree that that camera facing outward has come in to really help the trucking industry as opposed to hurt?
Oh, you bet. It's helped tremendously, especially when we start looking at investigating these crashes. Those cameras have saved many drivers. And I encourage companies to put, these cameras in all the vehicles. You're looking at, $500-600 investment. Some are more, some are a little less. But what is that compared to the cost of a crash?
All right, we got plenty of questions lined up for you. Producer, who do we got?
Yeah, definitely plenty of people here. So we have, first up, we got Kerry Mobley, and then we're going to go Alan Arnold, Donna Kaysen, and then Jeff Marsh. So, Kerry, what do you got for us, sir?
How about you, Kerry?
Should be able to unmute your mic there, sir.
All right, let's go to the next one.
All right, Alan Arnold, what do you got for us?
Boy, maybe he answered all the questions already.
I was going to say, maybe we already
Bob.
answered them.
Yeah.
Donna, let's go to Donna Kaysen.
Yes, good morning, and thank you for being a guest on our show. That's amazing. I have where I've witnessed an accident where I will stop and, give information and everything. But I've had fellow drivers that would have done the same in the past, and they get mixed up in the middle of it, like it was their fault. I was even accused that I caused it, and I'm just going, there's no way. And of course, it never went anywhere. But, of course, I want to try to, because a lot of people, they say, well, it's not my business. So they'll just keep going. But do you suggest doing that? And of course, if somebody was injured, I'm not, I cannot give first aid or anything. I do carry a small first aid kit in my truck, of course, but, I don't know CPR or anything like that, sir.
Sure.
Can you address that? Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. No, thank you for your question. A good question. The thing I would encourage you to do if you're going to stop is make sure it's safe for you to do so. I'll give you an example. Had a crash here not too long ago where a Good Samaritan did stop to help a person that hit the concrete barrier. They stopped in the moving lane of traffic. And obviously, you know what the outcome was from that. So I would encourage you, if you're going to stop, to make sure you stop in a safe place where you're not putting yourself and or anybody else in harm. Two things there. If it is not safe to stop and you did witness the crash or you don't feel comfortable stopping, then what is wrong with picking up the phone and calling the police department, just giving them your name and phone number and let the investigating officer reach out to you later? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The thing is it takes all of us. We talked about it earlier. It takes all of us as a team to work together to be safe. So why not help our fellow man or woman out that's had an incident on the highway, simply by calling and leaving your phone number. You can be a good witness that way as well.
Awesome, man. Here we go. We got time for two more. Here we go.
Yep. So, Alan, I did see that you got your mic working, and then we'll go into Jeff Marsh here. So, Alan, what do you got for us? Hey, Alan, you were green just a second ago, sir. What do you got for us? All right, Jeff Marsh, what do you got for us today, sir?
I want to thank you for being on our show. Also, going back to what you're talking about, not saying anything. So back a couple of years ago, I was in an accident over there in Tallulah, Louisiana, and the guy that I had an accident with, he says he's like, man, if you hadn't tore up your truck, we could have just blown this off and everything. Well, I put that in my mind. Later on, he goes back and he tries to sue the company and me. And so I get this attorney calls me up on the phone and tells me, that they're, he's going to sue us and everything and all this stuff. And she asked if there's anything she needs to know. I said, the only thing is he did say that if I hadn't tore up my truck, we could just blown this off. She goes, oh really? And I ain't never heard any no more, because she said that the reason she's calling because she's telling me that they were sending papers for me to sign and everything. I never seen any papers. I ain't heard from him ever since. So I think just because he said that it threw it out of court.
Well, and you bring up a good point. If you're involved in an incident or an accident, collision, whatever, and somebody does reach out to you via telephone, don't talk to them because you don't know who they are. Don't sign any papers. The best thing I can tell you to do is to get back with your company. Let them run it up through the insurance company and let the insurance company and the lawyers handle it. Because just like we were just talking about you saying stuff at the scene, just like you pointed out, stuff can be used against you. Well, that same thing, you got to remember a lot of these telephone conversations when attorneys or adjusters will call are recorded. So you got to be very careful in what you say, either at the scene or on the phone afterwards.
Hey, great points on all that. Great questions. Man, just a great Brian. I'm thankful for having you on the show. Glad you came out here. You know, just great information, Drive Safe Dave, that we're hearing. That it just goes to show we've got to continue to educate, right? All of our drivers out there on the road. Further continued education on all of these things that don't happen all the time. You bring that up, and I'm going to follow up with Jeffrey Marsh a little bit, and anybody else from another company. Is that when he says that, he's absolutely correct on that, because your company has that insurance. They don't want you talking to that attorney. They will tell you what attorney to call. They'll typically give you that number or be present with that. So when you get those random calls, you know what? Run and run away, run from the light, you know?
Exactly. Take off as fast as you can.
Man, but hey, Brian, I sincerely appreciate you. Thank you for being part of BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We're definitely going to have Buckle Up Bob reach out to you, the producer, and see, can we get you back on here again in a few weeks?
Talk about a specific topic. Yeah, talk about some specific topics again. Hey, we appreciate what you bring to the table, and give us another insight of what's going on out there.
Well, I appreciate it, and it's an honor to be here. One thing I'd like to leave everybody with is please buckle your seatbelt. Just had a crash yesterday working in East Texas, where a truck driver, unfortunately, was not wearing a seatbelt. Truck rolled, threw him out, ejected him from the vehicle, and it rolled over on top of him. So I just can't stress it enough. I know those things are uncomfortable. Sometimes they're a pain, but man, they save lives. So please, please, please wear your seatbelt and put your phone down. Please put your phone down and pay attention. Those calls, those texts, they can wait till we get to a destination or get to a stop.
Man, sounds like we got our next DJ for our next spot coming up. Man, I appreciate it. Thank you for those words. Thank you again for doing what you do. This is BCB Live Drive Safe Dave. We're the safest station in the nation, and we'll see you at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you, Brian, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
All right, bye, everybody.
Take care.
Welcome to BCB Live, Glad to have you here today as we jump right into safety. Drive safe, Dave. Yesterday or Sunday night, we had another fatality as reported by Buckle Up Bob yesterday with a 18-wheeler and a motorcycle.
Yeah, not only did the 18-wheeler have that accident, it actually compounded that, I believe, by onlookers and people going in the opposite lane. I think they even collided with patrol cars, which added to the confusion, added to the devastation. And you know what? It just brings home how important it is to slow down in those scenes. And when you see those disco lights, man, you need to genuinely be really, really prepared. Here's some videos from the other day. And I'll tell you, man, it is heartbreaking to know that one accident genuinely can cause another one right afterwards.
And it does. And again, you know what? We're going to put some of this on us, on our shoulders a little bit that says, when we see these things going on, when there's an accident, when you call them the disco lights, drive safe, Dave, we've got to slow down.
Absolutely.
We must control that speed. And I know we want to look to our left or to our right. But first and foremost, we have to slow down. I mean, this is, again, we had the incident a month and a half ago out in Denton,
right,
where a semi-truck barrels through the fire department.
That's correct.
And now, once again, patrol cars doing their job on that highway. And we heard it from them, and maybe we need to hear it again. It is those accidents on the highway. Not only does it affect, obviously, all of us driving, you know, it's very dangerous, but to those that are responding, the emergency medical techs, all of those folks, boy, it is extremely dangerous.
I think it's probably their most dangerous thing. I think that traffic, that environment, that dangerous out there on the road, people doing high rates of speed, and they're trying to slow it down, just doing their job, trying to save lives, be the first responders on the scene, taking care of everybody out there. And then here we go, nobody slowing down or not paying attention. And I'll tell you what, honestly, Sir Rick, I believe it has a lot to do with not paying attention, right? Distraction.
Yeah, it does. And we've seen many videos, and we've had many callers on this talk about the nighttime driving. Well, this occurred at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Correct.
And sometimes when you're driving, and we see it on the videos, it's hard to distinguish which lane, you know, is it eastbound, is it westbound that they're on? And I'm saying it doesn't matter. You slow down. You slow down, even if it's on the other lane. You see them over there, slow down, because when we get there, if all of a sudden they're in our lane, they're in our traffic, it's too late.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can do many things to communicate that you are slowing down. You can flip your hazards on, and you can slow down. And when you flip those hazards, you're bringing and you're drawing attention. Everybody knows that. You're allowing everybody around you to understand there's danger ahead. In fact, you're at a better position than all the four-wheelers back there by being up high. You can see better. You have to take that leadership role, and you have to slow down and keep that traffic back a little bit.
Yeah, nighttime driving, we understand that there's a lot more fatigue. We understand there's more challenging in the rain or just driving with the lights, right? It's hard sometimes to distinguish on that. Hey, if you're listening right now, if you're part of this crew that watches this show, hey, raise your hand. I want to hear from you. What do you do different? What do you do that others can take from your habits at nighttime, right? Early in the morning, when you see those emergency lights out there, listen, we have a lot of younger drivers, drive safe, that we want to make sure we're educating them as well. Some best practices. I want to hear from you on what you do, drive safe. We also saw some rate increases coming to us from FedEx.
Yep, I saw that too. They're going to come up. They've got to. They got to keep up with the market. They got to make sure that they, add rates. I saw that. I was pretty surprised at the amount of increase, didn't you?
5.9% increase. It's the very first increase we've seen of that stature in over 8 years. Typically, them and UPS, they hang around that 4.9% increase. They jump it up, as well as fuel surcharges that are going into place November 1st. The rate increases, listen to me. Here's the thing. I mean, they're coming in, the biggest in many years, in the slowest period of the year, January the 3rd. They're getting us off to a start that says, you know what? We're going to start charging you for fuel. And on that freight side. So remember, we have FedEx Ground that delivers the home products that you see them in the neighborhoods. You have FedEx Freight. Those are the folks that are hauling the palletized freight.
That's
right.
Correct.
They've been going to the shipping docks. You see them with you out there on the road. They're going up 7.9%.
Which is incredible. I mean, that's pretty. But, I understand a lot what's going on. Shipping costs are going crazy, skyrocketing up there. And I just think it's another one of the big boys reacting accordingly.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to continue to see some of these rate increases in place. Listen, tomorrow we have a big, we have Bruckner's coming in here tomorrow. And it's exciting when we get a chance to talk to Brian, president of Bruckner, to hear what's going on in the industry. Hey, but let's face it. I don't think that we in this industry are expecting any vendors to come to us today and say, hey, we're going to lower your rate down. It's just not going to happen. We're seeing huge rate increases on the truck side. Rate increase, I think they're huge, but even bigger on that dry van side. So rate increases all over the place are just coming to us. Producer, you say we had a caller?
Yeah, we have Donna Kaysen on the line. Hey. Donna, what do you got for us?
Good morning, Miss Donna.
What's going on?
Hey, good morning. You said at night driving, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Whenever there's, I slow down because my eyesight's not the best, at night. And so when all those lights are going on, I'm not sure if it's on the right, if it's on the left, So I slow down immensely. I put my four-ways on. I'm looking, make sure that there's nobody coming up on me, that's that's going way too fast, so I can protect myself as well, because the traffic that's coming up on me, they're not sure, but I want to use my four-ways. I want to slow down. I want to tap my brakes, get people's attention behind me, and, I'm going to try to control the best I can what's coming up behind me, and to let the traffic know what's going on, whatever's going on. I just slow down. I mean, because those lights, they are very bright, and they will mess with your vision and everything. But I want to make sure that, whatever side it's on, slow down, put your four-ways on, tap your brakes a few times to get the people's attention behind you. And usually everybody else will start slowing down as well. If it's a 4-lane, get in the right-hand lane. Stay in that right-hand lane. Whenever you get up on it closer and decide, see which side it's on, if it's in the middle, median or whatever, I move over, I cross, kind of not on completely on the shoulder, but I'll move over just to make sure that they have, it just depends on the situation.
Yes, ma'am.
You just got to do it. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Thank you,
Y'all
Ms.
have
Donna.
a good day.
We appreciate that situational awareness. We love that side. Producer, who else do we have?
Yeah, we also got Brian Winsauer and David Mason. So, Mr. Winsauer, what do you got for us?
Good morning, everybody.
Morning,
hey, it's not just the emergency lights that we're talking about at night. It's so critically important that we become hyper alert, hyper awareness. This morning, I'm way up here in extreme rural Kansas, west of Hayes. And when I started this morning, it was pitch black, and I'm the only thing on the road. And I saw coming up, approaching what appeared to be a reflector on the side of the road, and it was moving, and I just didn't know what in the world was going on. As I get up there, it's a guy riding a bicycle wearing all black clothes down the shoulder of the interstate. And in addition to being aware of that kind of thing, I got to remind everybody to remember 80% of all deer strikes happen in the dark. We have to be alert. We have to continue scanning the road when we're driving at night.
Love that too, Mr. Winsauer. Great points on that. We're going to come back to some of those. But first, we have David Mason as well. Mr. Mason, talk to us, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen.
What's going on?
I just wanted to add one thing. When you're paying attention and you see those emergency lights or any flashing lights, one of the things I do to help me figure out where they're at sometimes is watch the traffic. If there's any other traffic around me, and does the traffic block the lights for a second as they're going, and that can help me tell whether it's on their right or the left, and I kind of use that.
All right. Love all that stuff. And drive safe, Dave. We heard a little bit there, right, about situational awareness, knowing what's around you, from all three of them in a way, stopping, using the brakes, slowing down, space, some key things that we talk about quite a bit that come into play, especially when it comes to these emergency lights. And what Mr. Winsauer said, hey, phenomenal point. Because it's not just the lights, right? It's reflectors, it's folks riding their bicycles, it's somebody driving down the highway whose brakes aren't working, whose lights aren't working.
Right. There's so many things going on here in play. And it, we talk about these first responders and we talk about what's going on. Listen, there can be debris in the road from the accident. You can't see till you're on it. You can't see what's going on in the road. A lot of the times you'll not only arrive at the accident before the first responders get there, and you can't see what's going on because the disabled vehicle's lights are shining away from you and not shining where they should be. You've got a side view of the vehicle. So there's a lot of things that can occur out there in these moments of emergency. And I'll tell you, these first responders deserve our respect on the road.
Yes, sir, they do.
Deserve our respect on the road and our opportunity to do the right thing by them each and every time as we get out there.
Hey, listen, we're going to be back at you in 45 seconds. This is BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation, and we're coming back to you, Drive Safe, with a little COVID talk. We'll see you in just a minute. Drive Safe, Dave. Yesterday, we heard the news stories all over the place. COVID is now taking over the deadliest disease in America.
Yeah, it passed the flu epidemic of 1918 with 675,000 deaths due to a disease, and we just surpassed it yesterday. And I was listening to the news, and it was still the number of deaths every single day that still occurred due to COVID-19. It's very real. It's still ongoing. It's not done. And I'll tell you, it is amazing just to think about the number of people that we've passed. There isn't a war in the United States that this many people have died in. Even the Civil War, it was only 635,000. We've surpassed that. So this is worse than any other event in U.S. history.
Yeah, on a rolling 7-day scale, on a rolling 7-day average, we're just right at 2,000 deaths a day, down from the peak of say 3,400 last year, but 2,000 deaths a day coming to the COVID side. And one difference, Drive Safe, and I'll let you probably speak to this more than me, but on the last flu epidemic, right, the 19, whatever that was, that really did that interfered. That took the lives of a lot of the younger folks, the middle-aged kids, the young adults. That really did that. And you know what? We're starting to hear a little bit of the, some of the shots coming in place, right? Some of the vaccines for that younger group, even on that COVID side.
And we look back and we think about it. In 1918, they didn't even have a vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And you look back and you think we have the opportunity here to quell this disaster, this fire that's going on, and with a shot, that you can go out and get for free. But not only that, I do believe, and I thought I saw it, that Pfizer is opening up they're trying to get emergency ruling on 5 to 11-year-olds to try to add to the number of people that are vaccinated that can't spread the disease as easily.
Yeah, it's we're going to remind you, and it is critical to always remember that, continue to wash your hands.
Absolutely.
When you can put that mask on, I know it's not mandated everywhere, but still, while in large crowds, it's not a bad habit. We see it on the football games and Drive Safe Dave, and we don't know how many of those folks at the football games have had their vaccine or not. But again, if you haven't, we got to make sure that we are doing our part, producer.
Yeah, I actually saw the other day, this is kind of funny more than anything that I thought. But the Raiders started playing, obviously football's back in session now. So I believe it was something like some odd amount of thousands of people went and got their first vaccine dose so that they could go see the Raiders because they were mandating that you had to have a vaccine. So a lot of people got their first dose just so they can go see the Raiders.
Yeah, so in prison, you get Maracha noodles, ramen noodles, and in Vegas, you get to go to a game with that shot. Just a lot of different ways that we can motivate us, on the outside to get that shot. But you know what? At the end of the day, we want to protect life. I know we all have a lot of different beliefs on what to do. Is it right for me? Is it right for my family? And today, those are your rights to make. And some big decisions that we don't know how they're going to turn out is will it get mandated for employers greater than 100 or greater to mandate or mandate testing once a week?
Once a week testing, which is, then it becomes just a pain. Then it just becomes a pain, and you want to just, hey, go get the free shot. It's a whole lot easier than bringing in those. And I even saw, have you seen all the home testing kits that are flying off the shelf, those $20 home testing kits that are coming off the...
Something just tells me, so do you have to swab yourself?
You do.
I mean, I just think that if you're swabbing yourself, you're not going to go near as far. When you feel uncomfortable, you've gone far enough. I don't know what's going to make you keep going. I like pain. I like pain. Is that all you got?
Where's the brain? Where's the brain? Where's the brain?
Yeah, you're gonna go in a little bit. Get it? I've had swabs done recently that have given me nosebleeds for like 30 minutes. I don't think I can do that to myself on a home test. I don't think that's something I want to do all the time.
I will tell you that I personally, my mother wasn't feeling well, and for whatever reason, I went and picked one up because I wasn't sure. She's been vaccinated, but I wanted to make sure, and I went and picked up one of the home tests, and I did the deal, and it only takes like 20 minutes. I mean, from when you open the box till you get the results, and it's pretty interesting how you do it. You put on these gloves, and you do the whole thing, and it doesn't take that long, and you do the slow. You look like a chem set teacher and doing the home test. But I'll tell you what, it's pretty interesting, the whole process. I mean, she tested negative, but I'm not sure how accurate the home tests are. I mean, I don't, how accurate can they be, but I'll tell you, it's pretty interesting, that whole deal. I just experienced that last weekend.
Yeah, switch the subject just a little bit on that. Did you see Tesla? We had,
I did see that.
we have some investigations going on in Florida as we had another 2 fatalities in Florida. The car driving, it's a partially autonomous vehicle, so we don't know. Nobody knows that right now whether it was on the autonomous. Runs into a tree, kills the 2 folks. 25 now of the last 31 investigations have been Tesla vehicles over the last 5 years. And it's just interesting on this automated thing as we bring the autonomous vehicle. As we bring the autonomous vehicle talk into play, boy, we got a lot of work to do. How does it react to certain road conditions? How does it
trees?
Yeah, to trees. I mean, how does it do all of this? How does it really to construction zones? We talked about it to the police officer says stop with the hand signal, and it doesn't stop. Where are we at with that side? Those are just so many questions that I don't believe we've seen answers on yet. And listen, we have a little ways to go on this before it's fully implemented.
Yeah, and I don't mean that the tree's fault. The tree, usually when you talk about a tree, that's usually the point of no going any further. Mm-hmm. That's when you run into it. You don't go past the tree typically. They're pretty solid in the ground, and I'm just telling you that we talk about the autonomous vehicles. There's so much we have to learn. I agree. There's a lot. I don't know whether that investigation deal, that's going to be a tough one, right? Because you're leaning a little bit on what? Not only, what is that called? Industry secrets, right? You're kind of getting into that type of stuff.
Yeah, I guess you are. I don't know what they can share, what they can't share. But so let's take this tree. Let's take the Florida case into play. Because in my heart, it's just one of those challenges on the autonomous vehicle that I have is that, let's just say this car in Florida, this is all made up here, but let's just say it's driving down on the autonomous side, everything's fine, and another vehicle cuts out in front of it. This car has to react in some form or manner. And maybe the answer was veer to your right so you don't have that collision, therefore you hit the tree. You hit the tree, the people in the vehicle, they die. But drive safe, Dave, in the big truck, when you hit that tree, that may be a school bus. That may be a Greyhound bus. That may be your family, my family, somebody else's. How does it and who is going to own the technology that says, okay, bad thing happened in front of the autonomous vehicle. It's really not at fault, but it has to make a decision at some point. Does it go to the left or does it go to the right? And I struggle with that side. And I've asked the question. I haven't seen the answer yet because until all vehicles are autonomous, they don't know how the one in front of them is going to react. And so that's a big challenge for me that I look at. I just think to that side, who really wants to own that piece of the technology?
Yeah, or to be able to make that difficult decision on what's the lesser of two evils that I'm going to crash, right? Because it already has that programming, right? You have to have that somewhere involved in that programming. Hey, you need to pick the not the school bus, but you need to pick the ambulance.
And think about the jury decisions we see today. I mean, it's going to take one accident and then bam, somebody's going to lose a lot of money.
And then at that point, you have to ask, where does that lawsuit go to? Like, are you pointing it at the company who's manufacturing these things?
Oh, yeah.
Or are you pointing it at the people who are buying them and sending it out as their fleet? And so you have to wonder who's going to get hit with that, or if both sides are going to get hit with that.
It's just crazy. Technology is a wonderful thing, but it's also a scary thing. Quickly, we're going to jump into another topic here. You know, we talked about the motorcycle crash, right? That killed the police officer, or I'm sorry, that killed the motorcycle, ran into the police cars on the other side, the patrol cars on the other side of the lane. We had a crossing guard death up here in East Dallas. Death that was in the result of a four-wheeler.
Yes.
With medical conditions is what they believe. They believe the person that
had a medical emergency and then hit the crossing guard and later succumbed to her injuries at the hospital. Very sad. Been there, I think 9 years, been there or something like that. Been a crossing guard there for 9 years. But that's how quickly, that to me, that person is out there doing what they do to protect the children but it can change just like that.
Yeah, and also to me, it was also a reminder to you out there that hold that CDL. That we have that medical certification. That maybe we're struggling with some kind of low sugar. We see medical situations arise in our industry, and you know what? It was a reminder to me when I read that, and it's a sad thing when we take the life of anybody, and nobody did anything with intent. However, we behind the wheel of these big trucks, we got to make sure that we are physically able to control them. We are mentally able to control them. That person that did this, they had a driver's license, all was fine. They had no malintent on them, much like we do when we get in the big truck. We get in the truck and maybe I'm not feeling well today. And maybe I'm just not as alert as I need to be. Maybe my medication's not working, or I forgot to take my medication, and I'm not ready to go, and I just can't help but just remind each and every one of you that you have to make that tough call and drive safe. It's a tough call because the driver, guess what? They have family to feed back at home. They have bills to pay back at home. They have the same exact things that we do, and if they're not driving that mile for many of us, well, they're not going to get paid.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the hard part of that is being honest with yourself. Don't be in denial. If you're sick and you're not paying attention, and you're drowsy, and your sinuses are all messed up, and your eyes are watering, and you can't see very well, you're obviously not at 100%, right? You're obviously not doing everything that you can do to be out there and seeing everything. So you got to be really, really honest with yourself on your ability at the moment and in the moment.
Yes, and I'm just going to stress on that one more time. Only you. Sometimes it's that to where you've got to be honest with yourself. And if you're a dispatcher at any trucking company and you feel and hear that, you know what, somebody just doesn't sound themselves.
Correct.
They sound sick. They sound worn out.
Disoriented.
There you go. They didn't sleep well last night. You know this. You heard this. We've got to help them make that safe decision. It's what we do in that back office. We are there to support the drivers. And if you're at any company, you're watching this, I want you to hear me. You behind that computer, you in that office, you in that customer service, you in sales, you as an owner, you have that responsibility and accountability to help your drivers make safe decisions.
Right. And I'll tell you, here's the catch-22, the caveat to that. If you just say, you know what, I told them, hey, if you don't feel safe, stop. If you don't feel like it, make sure, but you know what, the load needs to be there. But if you don't feel comfortable, that right there is the catch-22 to the driver, right? I mean, we're telling our,
Yes.
you're telling them to go, aren't you? You're just telling them to go, and you got to tell yourself it's not worth it. It's not worth it. No life is worth it. So if you have to make the hard call, make the hard call for the driver.
If you're new to BCB Live, one thing you'll see here coming on at that 7:33 mark is you're going to hear our weather, our road, our safety guru, our safety expert that kind of wants to give you some advice on these high winds. And that's what we're here for, to talk to you about the ice. And when we say you shouldn't be driving, when we tell you don't drive if you have an empty trailer, this is a no-go zone. I'm asking you to hear me on this. I'm asking you to hear what Buckle Up Bob has to say, because he's here to protect your life. He's here to protect your family when they're driving. And our job is to get the word out, drive safe, to this industry, to this country, about being safe and making decisions based on saving lives.
Yeah, and you know what? You've got to be the one to make the hard call sometimes. You got to be the one that says, you know what? It doesn't sound right, doesn't feel right, doesn't look right, and I know it's not right. So step up, make the call, and tell yourself and tell everyone around you, you've got to be that one. And if you're not the one, and if you're not doing it, who's going to do it? Who's going to step up and do the right thing? It's up to each and everybody in this industry to do something about safety. And you're everyone's responsibility. From the bottom to the top, from the top to the bottom, everyone's responsibility is about safety.
It is. And Drive Safe Dave, I'm going to pose a question to you right now, in front of the world to see. What is that phrase that pays?
Well, I am just about ready to tell everybody. Are you ready? Or patience on the roadway makes for a safe day.
You know, you bought yourself just enough time, so say it again.
Patience on the roadway makes for a safe day.
All right, Drive Safe, we talked about what that meant to you yesterday. And what we want to do now is we want you to think about that phrase, right? And how you can apply that to what you're doing right now. Patience. Patience is real. Patience is hard.
It's virtuous.
Oh my God, it's how, you know what? Be more patient with your kids. Says anybody that doesn't have kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Be more patient. Come on. Aren't you being a little hard? Hey, Ralphie boy. You know, no. I'm just saying patience is so hard. And we're just going to ask you to be patient, right? And if you can't be patient, because sometimes, Drive Safe Dave, sometimes you don't have what it takes to be patient. It's not your day. You know what? And that's when you have to pull off that rope.
Yeah, stop and realize what's going on. And as we say all the time, man, don't be in denial of what's happening with yourself and what's happening with what's going on. Be for real. And you know what? That's when you need to stop and step back and realize how important it is. And that's the Pepsi and hot dog moment we talk about.
And guess what? We can't be the safest station in the nation without you. How many days are we at right now, Drive Safe?
We are at 100 and I'm going to say...
You're going to say 60?
No.
100 and what?
I'm on a 120.
Producer, can you help us out?
It's 126.
126.
My memory is correct.
I got you. 126 days. As you heard right there, it's a pretty big deal to us here at BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We'll see you in about 30 seconds.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I don't know why I thought I had more time, producer, but hey, shame on me. Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to the safest station in the nation. I am Buckle Up Bob, and we're going to do some traffic first, and we're going to go into some weather as we do have some rain and some cold fronts moving into Texas. Man, traffic looks pretty bad in the Texas area, especially the Dallas area. The loops are congested. The thoroughfares are congested. The only thing that doesn't look too bad is over here in the Fort Worth area, which they call the better of the two cities, is what most people say. But except, I guess, if you're in Dallas. But again, the 820 loop there in the northeast corner has a little bit, but otherwise the loop is pretty clear going around Fort Worth. Again, Dallas, a lot of accidents this morning I heard on the way coming in. Just fender benders, gawkers looking at, and we talk about patience and keeping your focus. Many of these accidents start triggering from watching another accident in the lane the other way. So be mindful of that as you go around these major cities. Let's see if we're ever going to get any traffic in Kansas City. And again, it doesn't seem like it. It looks really clear. You can see the loops, everything. It just looks really good. Very little red in the Kansas City area. So if you're heading through Kansas City, you should have some clear sailing going through there and around. Chicago, again, you will always want to stay out on the loops. Most drivers know that. But again, you're going to run into a little bit of congestion here just west of the Chicago. But if you go out to 355, you will have some clear roadways, if you will. And then coming in from the northeast, 90 is clear as well, coming down to the loops, as well as 94 from the north. Atlanta, again, southern loop looks pretty good. And even on the western side looks good. And remember, you have to take the loop unless you deliver inside. That is a state law. Where are we going? We're going Philly. All right. Hey, wow, Philly looks horrible today. You can just see everything. 276, 76. A lot of red in Philadelphia today. All right. Coming from the New Jersey side, looks pretty clear. But again, on the Pennsylvania side of the river there, it is bad. So be prepared for some major slowdowns as you go into that area. Nashville looks pretty clear. You can see the rain's moved out from yesterday. The loops are all clear. All the roads coming up into it don't have very minimal traffic delays from the looks of the map currently. So you should have some pretty good travel times as you approach the Nashville, Tennessee area. Hey, in weather, we're going to show you some rain. We had a little bit of rain move into the Dallas area this morning. There is a cold front coming this way that all that wind is pushing. I think the forecast is in the upper 50s as the lows tomorrow morning. So as it warms up into the 80s, low 80s. So we should get a gorgeous fall, enter into the fall for tomorrow in the Texas area. But have no fear. It is supposed to be in the 90s by the end of the week. So we will see the 90 temperatures again. But just a nice cold front that's triggering some showers along the leading edge of this. We had some wind gusts. Vernon, Texas, we had a driver just report that he is going back to the truck stop. The winds are too bad, so we want to watch these gusts. So we'll zoom in a little bit here in Texas to see if we see anything. There's an orange one. So we got 37-mile-an-hour gusts there near Odessa. And I don't see anything else in the gold. Again, you will see out here in New Mexico, 42-mile-an-hour gusts. So on the western side of this wind, it seems to be where the big gusts are, the upper 30s and even into the lower 40s. So remember, it gets up into near 45. You don't want to be driving. It doesn't matter how heavy you are. And you got to watch the curves. If it's in that 35 to 40 range, you must slow it down to 55 to protect life and protect yourself. So we are going to deal with the wind a little bit today as we go through. And we'll kind of zoom out a little bit, and then we'll show you what happens. This is at 5 p.m. And tomorrow, all that wind moves over to the east. So again, it's just kind of moving on through from the west to the east as we go through our work week. Today, we got some thunderstorms as well supposed to pop up. You can see the line stretching again from Detroit. We talked about that yesterday. It's stretching all the way from Detroit, Michigan, down through Texas. So you can see that that's that leading edge and everything behind that cold front. The temperatures will drop, but it's pretty clear and mild as we go through. You can see a lot of thunderstorms in the eastern seaboard as well, from Florida on up into the Carolinas and in parts of the Virginias as well. So that's our weather. We're going to come back in a little bit with some safety.
we're back right here with Buckle Up Bob, and you've got some safety topics, right, that we're working on.
We do. We're working on what we want to do is get the culture of the industry and everybody out there to focus on preventing accidents and not who's at fault. Because, man, as we've seen in some of these jury trials, it doesn't matter who's at fault. The lawyers are able to paint this gruesome picture, this dangerous picture, and it really scares people into awarding the plaintiffs their money, whether that was at fault or not. Later in this week, we will talk about some bill that was passed this year in Texas and Iowa that's going to help level out the playing field, if you will, make it a little fairer. But, gave a chart today and why this is so important and why we have to keep focus on preventing the accidents. One is we've said for years that, hey, if there's no accident, there's no loss of life, right? And so that's the most important thing. And the secondary thing now that's increasing is just from 2010 to 2018, there's been a 967% increase in verdicts greater than $1 million. The average has gone up from that $1 million to over $22 million of verdicts. And so it's just crazy in an 8-year period what's doing it. So you've got to prevent accidents, you prevent loss of life. Prevent accidents, you protect the company and prevent companies from going out of business. You keep the costs down. It's just staggering that a 967% increase has happened in the last 8 years, from 10 to 18. And again, those numbers haven't slowed down in the last 2 or 3 either.
And so what we want to do, we want to make sure that when we're out there, and we want to make sure that everybody out there is doing all that you can do, right? To put sophistication, to use the help that we have with technology in these tractors, and that includes upgrading, if you can, right? If it's available, to all the safety features that tractors have today. And tomorrow we have Bruckner's in there. We're going to probably talk a little bit about safety, because safety in these vehicles is key. It's critical. We do need help.
Yeah, but not only do we need help, it is up to, we just sit here and we talk about these big numbers, and we talk about these, but it truly is, when you get down to it, it truly is up to each individual driver doing the right thing out there and thinking that they do play a big part in what goes on out there. Every single person plays a big part. And as we talk about this and we get involved in this and this passion for safety evolves, we've got to make sure that as we do this, we do everything that we can to be safe.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder, I heard you talking about the autonomous vehicles and stuff. And I wonder if our focus is on the wrong areas, like not to eliminate the driver, but how can we use technology to make the driver safer? Give them warnings, give them signals. We've seen vetting some camera systems that can give in-cab coaching and all this stuff to kind of help the driver be a better and safer driver, not eliminate them, but let's make them safer with the technology. And I wonder if some of these companies are going in the wrong direction versus, hey, let's focus on the technology for the vehicles, for the driver themselves, that we can help make them all safer.
Educate. What we have to do, we have to continue to educate, train, teach, and then we, the users, have to welcome it. Mm-hmm. We can't be scared of it either, right? We can't just, we got to take it with open arms, bring it in, love it, and hold it, and nurture that baby, and say, I want you, technology. I want you to help me. Hey, we got any videos, producer?
Yeah, this first one, wow. Again, we're cut off. OV cuts off this driver, and the driver immediately gives the space. Just a tremendous job. That situational awareness. Hey, the idiots are out there, folks. We see them all the time. But again, you don't know what they're thinking. But this driver did a great job immediately backing off. Look, he was catching that vehicle in the right lane pretty quick. But now, that stays in the picture and even starts to go back. So great job by this driver. That's what you have to do. React soon, right away, in case something goes wrong here.
Good job.
Here's one again. We talk about you can't see the big picture. You got 2 trucks, tailgating situation, right? And this tailgating is going to turn into a quick lane change. And what we talk a lot about on being the safest driver, there's the blinker right before you make the lane change, right? That should be on 3 seconds before you. If you want a nice, safe, gradual lane change, we got to back off here. You have to back off there, give space, turn the blinker on now. You know what you're going to do, right? And then back off and then make that nice, steady lane change.
Yeah, buckle up, Bob. Right now we're tailgating again. Sometimes I think we don't recognize how close we really are. I just don't think we recognize it. And what we want to do is make certain that you know where you are, to make certain that you know how close you are, and you back off. You turn that blinker on a lot quicker, because what's scary about this, and we see it a lot, is we just don't know what's in front of this truck.
No, and you know, we've seen videos where a truck loses a steer tire, right, goes down. Them trucks are right down. If that truck in the center loses a steer tire, it's this one. Where is this driver going to go? There's no place for him to go because the truck, I'm going to assume both trucks are going to take up this highway if they're tangled up.
Yeah, if you can do this, and you need to do this exercise constantly. You need to do this exercise as much as possible. Look on the lines on the road. Just count as it leaves the back. You go 1001, and you don't even get to the second. You're absolutely way too close. You've got to continuously work on maintaining that space.
Yeah. At 65 miles an hour, you're traveling 100 feet per second. It's important that you understand that. And each one of those gaps, right, a dash to the next dash. So you take the dash and the gap, that's 40 feet. So two of them, and you're already in the back end of that. And you can see that's about all that's here. So probably right around that 80 to 100 feet, which means 1 second, and this driver would be in the rear end of them.
And to go back to that first point there that Rick made about how we don't know what's in front of us, as soon as we get out, we see that this truck is also tailgating another four-wheeler. So if that four-wheeler were to press on the brakes while we're behind this truck, then only disaster comes from that.
Great point.
Here's one again, you know, great lane change. We went from not so good. Look at the distance back here is pretty good. And the lane change is going to come up now. You know, again, it's hard to see that, but much better, patient, more patient lane change there as you're in heavy traffic. I consider this heavy enough traffic that you guys got to be mindful. All four lanes are taken up. And so good job by this driver. You know, starts it right. It's right on that tweener, right? It starts to get in that tailgate situation, but they're already making their lane change. So I think there was some good decision making here. And the thought process was, I just believe in the video is telling me that they were trying to make a safe lane change. They were thinking about it. Here again, another great lane change, right? What I like about this is watch the vehicle in the left lane there. It's gaining space before this driver makes the nice gradual lane change. Terrific job there. Taking the whole situation, not just what's in their lane. Right here, it's probably safe to do so now, but this driver is even going further and letting that car in the left lane get further ahead before they make the lane change. I just thought it was another great safe lane change by this driver. Here, just a reminder, slow down in construction. There doesn't appear to be anybody working, but you just don't know where they are. But you're clearly in a construction zone, right? Doing 63 miles an hour. And then at the end of this, starts to get over to make that lane change with that truck there. And there's nowhere to go. You've got to be patient here. Slow it down. You're in a construction zone. I doubt that the speed limit was 63. And then you're going to go right behind this truck and trailer here at the end of the video where you're starting to get out there. It is moving away, which is a good sign. But just kind of a reminder in the construction zone, slow it down.
And we see that four-wheeler in front want to make that lane change in front of the other truck as well. So we don't know if they're going to be switching around in front of us as we try and make that, or in front of this driver as we try and make that lane change as well.
Yeah, patience, you know, it's the phrase that pays. And that's where we have to have patience. Right now, when we're in the construction zone, there may not be any workers present like that. But let me tell you something, that speeding ticket pays the same. You know, that fine is exactly the same. You know, yes, sometimes they won't get you when the workers are present, but in a construction zone, buckle up, Bob, talk to me on that. You know, if you get a ticket in a construction zone, how does that get measured?
That gets measured with a more severity, you know, and even most companies have a policy where it's just automatic disqualification because you're not protecting life there. We've actually seen some videos, Sir Rick, if everybody may not remember, where there was a worker in a hole right by the edge of the traffic. And I'm just thinking, what if that person's right here by the edge of them cones and here it comes in at 65 miles an hour, something happens, you can't react. You just got to slow it down and be patient. You'll get through it just fine. It looks like they've got several lanes open here, so you just got to be patient and take your time to get through. There's no hurry to get through this. Hey, just a reminder, you know, we're coming into the fall season. We're going to start seeing a lot more of the rain. You're going to start seeing a lot more of that white stuff. Again, not a whole lot wrong here, other than the fact 63 miles an hour and some pretty heavy rain. Remember, hydroplaning, the risk of hydroplaning starts at 40. Maybe not for the truck, but for them 2 cars in front, absolutely is there. And so it's just that reminder that, hey, whatever you think is safe. The driver here was going under the posted limit. But we always talk about, hey, whatever you think is safe, add another 5 to 10, and you're probably usually the right speed. So just kind of a reminder, nothing really wrong here. Just remind you that, hey, the hydroplaning's real, and it's more dangerous for them. They're going to hydroplane sooner than you are, especially if you're heavy. We just want to remind that. And then, hey, we talked yesterday, watching motorcycles, the accident in Fort Worth. And then, you know, this driver was doing about 70 miles an hour. So I'm going to assume that motorcycle was at least 85 or not faster and zooming by there. So you've got to, you know, when we talk about quick lane changes, you know, you've seen the one with the truck. What happens if that guy's there, right? There's no way, I can't believe you're going to see them in a 1 second lane change or a 2 second. That's why it's so important. Take that 3 seconds, look more than once in that mirror to make sure something you didn't miss.
Yeah, situational awareness. You know, I think that's just a key thing. And when you go to pass is don't take it for granted.
Yes.
You know, sometimes I think drivers say, Dave, you can take it for granted. I'm going to get in the left-hand lane, and that motorcycle that's way back there going 95 miles an hour is going to catch you pretty quick. And you've got to look out for them.
You know, and we talk about it all the time, and I think it's fundamentally key is that you continue to, and Bob mentioned it earlier, continue to communicate with what's going on back there. Go ahead and flip that blinker way before you move over into that lane. Let everybody know back there your intention, right? Don't just, as you're moving over into the left lane, put your turn indicator on. That does nobody any good. That doesn't really help them to understand your decision-making process. So when you have a chance, hit that left turn indicator. And when we were watching, when you get into inclement weather, it is very important that you slow down and be prepared. As we saw them passing in the left lane and we close in on the vehicles, you got to realize that inclement weather is something you deal with every day. You go through a rain shower a lot. You move through those and you get used to them. Don't get too used to them that you realize the dangers that they pose and the challenges that they can create.
Yeah, I want to meet somebody that I think every person that's driven for even a year has had that moment where did they come from, right? There's not one driver on the road that's never not had that. And that should be your warning right there. You know it can happen. It doesn't make you a bad driver. It just says, hey, we've got to get to that mentality where we're always thinking that because it's happened to everybody.
Producer, who do we have?
Yeah, we got Jeff Marsh on the line. What do you got for us, sir?
Morning, Jeffrey.
Good morning. Yeah, those fines are usually doubled in construction zones, and there's some states that if you hit a worker, you go to prison, and it's usually about a $10,000 fine and stuff like that. So you lose your CDL if you hit a worker and stuff. But 90% of the states, when you come into a construction work zone like that, no matter if there's anybody in there or not, if it's a work zone and you get a ticket, it's usually doubled. The fines are doubled.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
And great point.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what? In all these videos that we saw today, you know, I'm going to encourage you to play the old game. It's that what if game, right? I mean, what if that car in front of that truck stops? What if they do? What if that motorcycle is coming behind you when you make that quick turn, that quick lane change as well? What if in that rain, that four-wheeler that's up there ahead of you, that four-wheeler that's on the right of you, what if they lose control? I mean, what happens if they do? We're talking about some of your stats, right? About preventing accidents.
Yes.
What if you aren't in a good place to avoid them? And the what if game, it really does. I think it does allow you to back down a little bit. It does allow you that ability to look around you to make sure that the decision you're making right now is the safest. The what if game, it's real.
It is. It absolutely is. And, you know, it's just really a great point because, you know, none of us go out there and try to kill somebody, but we're just not thinking about that. You know, when you think about it, if you're protecting life, every single decision, then you're always playing that what if because you know it's real. It's a real possibility that everything that you mentioned, Sir Rick, has happened. We've seen some amazing videos that I myself would have never guessed. The one that still comes back is that ambulance falling off the rear of the truck. I could have never predicted that. And if I'm watching that video and somebody says, guess what's going to happen next? I guarantee you nobody that has not seen that would have said the ambulance is going to fall off the back.
And drive down the road.
Yeah, and drive down the road.
Not just the ambulance drove down the road. I think if I remember correctly, I remember the truck had to actually knock the the ambulance off the road because it was just going. It was done. It was like, hey, I'm not on brake anymore. I'm going to drive onto like Abilene. I'll be good.
Yeah, it made a double lane change safely, but then it just kind of
without a turn indicator.
But it is, you know, so we want to make sure, again, you're doing your part. If we have any more questions, we also want to take the time to encourage you to, to email us, to use the message queue you have, whether you're watching us on YouTube or LinkedIn, no matter what. Ask us a question, make a comment. We can answer that. We have a producer that's more than qualified in the back right there watching the show. He's got his you know those glasses are? I just realized what they are. Those are to help you with the blue screen, aren't they? Or whatever that is. Did you know that?
Yes, I
was wondering what they were.
I have some too.
Do you?
I do.
But hey, listen, we love you and we're thankful for all that you do here. You know what? Drive safe, Dave. You want to close us out with a prayer?
Absolutely. Dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you today together to ask for your grace in all things. Father, we come before you to ask for your blessings upon us whenever you can out there on the road by keeping our drivers safe, by keeping them mentally aware of what's happening out there. Also, Father, we also ask that you give a special prayer to Bob and his daughter for procedure today, going through and taking care of some things. And Father, we also ask that you're with everyone that needs comforting, everyone that has somebody that's sick, and everyone that needs that special uplifting moment, that special uplifting in their hearts. Give them the courage to face the day. Give them the belief that it will be better and the knowledge that you will be leading their lives. Father, we ask a lot. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We'll see you this afternoon. This is BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation.